Hi. Years ago, I wrote this essay called, what did I call it? The Essentials, What is Most Important? And so I thought I would summarize this essay for you here. And some of it I'll read. Like the first part, I thought was really funny. So there's a comedian, Brian Regan, talks about the time the airline lost his luggage. And they said, well, hopefully it will come on the next flight. If not, it will come to our morning's flight. We'll deliver it to your hotel. In the meantime, you don't need to worry. I have this for you. He reaches under the counter. He hands me a little bag, this bag with a zipper on top, and it says Essentials Kit. Oh, these are the essentials. Well, then I overpacked. I thought I needed all that stuff I meticulously put in my suitcase. I stand corrected. If that was really an essentials kit, if you had one, you'd never have to go to work again. Whatever happened to Harry? Oh, I don't know. He don't need us. He happened upon essentials kit. He opened it and it was filled with food, shelter, and love. Of course, Brian Regan delivers it a lot better and it's a lot more funny. But I thought it was a good title for my essay about what is essential. And just of late, I've been thinking about the things that are most important, particularly around family and the way we talk to each other and communicate. I think it's important for us to take like the long view of things and remember that, we believe that we're more than just this life, and that while we're here, the people that are important to us and the things that are important to us should matter and should be, as we think how to talk to them. That's kind of the long view. Ivana, when Ivana was 9, she had an infection in her ankle, and it was quite scary. We went into the doctor and he saw it and he sent us immediately to the hospital. We didn't go home or anything. We just went straight over to the hospital and they admitted her. And they said this could be a bone infection in her ankle bones, and that they were going to have to go in and clear it out, take care of it. And they said, depending on how severe it was, she could even lose her foot. And as it turned out, they just cleaned it out. It hadn't gotten into the bone, didn't require any bone manipulation or anything. It was just clearing it out and leaving it open, letting it heal, and pumping her full of antibiotics for the next month or 2. But while she was in the hospital, the pain got really severe, and turns out she had the same issue that the prophet Joseph Smith had when he was a boy, had pain and had to have a piece of his leg bone removed. It was interesting that holding onto Ivana's leg, kind of cutting off the skin circulation and putting pressure on it, was the only way to alleviate pain. And that was kind of what had been reported with Joseph Smith too, that he needed his brother to hold his leg. And that was why it was just so painful if you didn't do that, that it was almost unbearable. And she was in agony, and I think this was probably the hardest thing that I ever went through as a parent, was seeing her in so much pain and not being able to do anything about it. And she cried and moaned, and Joe and I cried with her, and it was hard to see her suffering. I would have given anything to take that pain away from her. And it was interesting. Everything else at that moment kind of faded away into things that don't matter. Work and problems and political issues and worldly things just fade away when compared to the love that you have for your children and for other people. She got better and had no ill effects, and we were very grateful for that. So as you think about as a parent, you want to teach your children to have to learn how to work and to learn how to take responsibilities and to make the right choices. And you think about how you interact with them. And in my experience, the most important thing is to take the long view, that a short-term failure or a mistake or something like that is really pretty minor. And however, losing your temper or getting after a child, they will remember that for the rest of their lives. And so you have to be careful in how you're dealing with their children. And I have really appreciated how my children have learned to deal with their children, and in soft tones and teaching and correcting, but not losing their cool. And I have really appreciated that. I think they're great. And I think as I have talked with even my father about his biggest regret in life, and it is that he would have spent more time with the people that he loved, more time with his children. He would have worked less and taken on less responsibilities and spent more time with his family. And I think that's good. I think we need to remember that those are the things that are most important. And I think we have to kind of constantly evaluate the things that are most important and make adjustments. Paying the bills and working is important, absolutely. And we have to do things. Sometimes that entails putting things off with our children, but let's not put them off always. Let's make sure that we are spending our time on our most important tasks and where the greatest value is. There's a poem, I won't read it, but it is The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. And I like that poem and think it applies. And he talks about selecting one particular road, and that road has made all the difference. And I look back in my life on some of the decisions that I've made that have taken us different places and done different things. And in retrospect, I probably wouldn't change those things, because we met people and had an impact on their lives and benefited in many ways that we wouldn't have otherwise. And so I feel like that as we listened to our Heavenly Father and made decisions based on what we felt was the best, that those decisions on the surface may not have turned out the way we'd hoped, but in reality were probably the best for us. Let me see, what else? So as we talk to the people in our lives, I think we often feel like that it is important to help people when they've made a mistake. So if they are in error, sometimes we feel like we need to correct them. But in my opinion, I don't think that's always the case. I think sometimes it's better to let that go rather than to give criticism. Now, if our young children are learning how to behave or learning how to deal with situations, and they make a mistake, yeah, they need to be corrected so that they can learn. But as we deal with our children as adults or our siblings or our parents, I think we need to be careful when offering criticism. And we need to ask ourselves a couple of questions before we criticize others. We need to ask, is it really important? Because sometimes it just doesn't matter. I think of all the times that I have wanted to say something and I've stopped saying, in the big scheme of things, this really doesn't matter at all, and just ignored it and let it go. And I think of the times when Joe could have corrected me or given me some criticism, and she held back just for the sake of the relationship. And I'm sure there are many times that she has done that for me, as I have for her. But really, she doesn't do much that's wrong. So I don't really have a lot of opportunity to do that with her. And sometimes people have offended us or said something that we didn't appreciate or that hurt our feelings. And sometimes we have to make a decision on what's important. Is it important to, distance ourselves from caustic people? Yep, sometimes it is important to do that. And sometimes it's important to get over things and move on and establish those relationships again. So as I talked about giving criticism, to think about, is it really necessary? And then to think about, what is the spirit in which it's given? Is it really given in a loving way, in order to help? Or is it given in a negative way? One comparison is like, sometimes people will give you criticism and it's like throwing a brick, and and what's your immediate response? Well, you want to pick it up and throw it right back. And so giving criticism can be like throwing a brick. It hurts and it's offensive and you want to give it right back. So I think we don't want to throw bricks at people. We want to be constructive. So we have to think about, how are we going to deliver this feedback? Are we going to just throw a brick and tell someone they're an idiot? Or are we going to be constructive? Or is it even necessary? And then how do we deliver it? Do we ask permission to give them feedback? Or do we just throw it at them? And I think if we consider those questions before we give feedback or correction to someone, I think we'll do it less often. It doesn't mean that we can't ever express our opinions. That's not the issue. The issue is, how do we deliver feedback to people? Do we throw it at them like a brick or a rock? Or do we say, this doesn't matter. I don't want to throw a brick at someone because I care for them, or even if I don't care for them, they're important and I'm not the type of person that's going to throw bricks at people. Even if they're mistaken, even if they're an idiot, I'm just not going to do that. I'm not going to throw bricks at people. And I think we need to distinguish between what's important and what's not in this life, and focus on the things that are important and let the other stuff go. Rebuild relationships, apologize quickly. And I think there's a real art to saying you're sorry, and I don't think it's a sign of weakness. In fact, one of my other articles is the difference between weakness and strength. I think it takes strength to apologize to someone if you've offended them, even if they deserved it. And I'm not sure anybody really deserves to have a brick thrown at them like that. Anyway, consider those things. And at the bottom of this essay, I kind of wrote a number of things that I think are important. Our love for God, prayer, work, and fight in life, fight for things, work hard, provide spiritually and temporary for our families. Being prepared is important, but mostly a Christ-like love for everybody. And if we think about that Christ-like love and have that Christ-like love, I think we'll remember that that is the thing that is the most essential and most important. All right, enough of that essay. Hope you have a great day. See ya.